Hi, it's James. Welcome back to the channel. I'm just happy to be home and got the new camera, or not the new camera, but the new microphone. And so basically we're doing this as kind of like a test run, but my problem is that there's nothing to attach it to on top. So I've got to figure out how to get this to attach to the top of the GoPro. But if I leave it the way it is, set to the side, then it should be fine. But that's obviously not the optimal setup. But anyway, we're going to cover Matthew 17, verses 14 through 21. So let's get started. And when they came to the crowd, a man came up to him and, kneeling before him, said, "Lord, have mercy on my son, for he has seizures and he suffers terribly. For often he falls into the fire and often into the water. And I brought him to your disciples, and they could not heal him." And Jesus answered, "O faithless and twisted generation, how long am I to be with you? How long am I to bear with you? Bring him here to me." And Jesus rebuked the demon, and it came out of him, and the boy was healed instantly. Then the disciples came to Jesus privately and said, "Why could we not cast it out?" He said to them, "Because of your little faith. For truly I say to you, if you have faith like a grain of mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you." So we've got 3 points. Point number 1, we're going to talk about the demon-possessed boy. In R.C. Sproul's commentary, he says this: "The term epileptic is supplied by the translators based on the symptoms that are mentioned here. The boy had convulsions and often fell into the fire or the water. The text literally says the boy was a lunatic. We think of lunacy as insanity, but in the ancient world, people who behaved in a strange or erratic manner were thought to be moonstruck, so they were called lunatics, from the Latin word luna, which means moon. But the boy's symptoms indicated he had an illness. Matthew soon informs us that the real issue was demonic possession." If you know John 10:10, the Bible says that the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So the fact that the boy was being thrown into the fire and thrown into the water indicates to me, at least, that the boy was in fact demonic possessed. And I totally agree with R.C. Sproul on that one. So the second point, I'm going to talk about the disciples' roller coaster ride. What do I mean by that? It's like, a couple chapters ago, Peter was declaring and saying that Jesus was the Son of God. And earlier in Matthew, they talked about how they were sent out 2 by 2, and they came back, and the demons were subject to their, they were able to drive out demons and were subject to them. But here, they just messed up. They just couldn't get the job done. And I think that really applies, and that's to us. Sometimes we have really good days. Sometimes we have really bad days. James Montgomery Boyce has this to say. He said, "Understanding followed by misunderstanding. Progress followed by abject failure. This is the pattern. Yet it is our pattern too. We all move ahead spiritually, but then fall back badly. When we realize how often we fail and how prone to sin we are, we marvel at the patience of God, who, quote, knows how we are formed, unquote, and, quote, remembers that we are dust, unquote." Psalm 103, verse 14. Jesus is a very patient teacher. And I think that patience is also a great example of God's grace. We cannot, on our own, get saved, and we cannot walk with the Lord without God's grace. And I think we need to give ourselves a little bit of grace too. When we mess up, when we make mistakes, we need to confess our sin, of course, if there's any sin involved. But also, we need to learn from that. And that's one of the reasons why we need to go to somebody that we trust and talk about that kind of stuff. Because then that gives them an opportunity to give you feedback about things that you may or may not be able to see. But ultimately, every time we make a mistake, every time we sin, it is an opportunity to learn from those mistakes, to learn, if we in fact did fall into sin, and realize that, we need to do something different. I will tell you that for me personally, that when I'm hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, those are the points when I'm going to be more tempted to sin than if I'm taking care of myself, if I'm doing what's right, then I'm going to be less likely to fall into sin. So the third point I want to talk about is where Jesus talked about the if you have faith of a mustard seed. He said that in verse 20. He said, "For truly I say to you, if you have faith like a grain of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you." So the key that I want to focus on is that it's not faith in you, that it's, Jesus said that we need to have faith in God. Because ultimately He is sovereign, He is in control, and He is the one that we need to put our faith and trust in. So, excuse me, I'm very tired. It's been a very long day. But we need to put our faith and trust and confidence in God. And I think one of the best examples of this was if you go to Daniel 6. Was it 6 or 3? I wasn't planning on going there, but I feel led to talk about it. That's right, it was 3. Because Nebuchadnezzar sets up this golden image, and he tells the people when the music plays, you have to bow down to it. And if you don't, I'm going to throw you into this hot, fiery furnace. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego basically told the king, he said, in verse 16, he said, they say to him, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and He will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up." So, they trusted in God so much that if they asked to be delivered and God said no, that they would still trust Him anyway. How many times do we, as believers, how many times do we we're fine as long as God says yes, but if God says no to our prayers, how do we respond? Now, I can tell you an example here recently where I'll admit I messed up. In the process of moving, there was a lot of things to take care of, and I let my car insurance lapse. Now I've since gotten it fixed, and everything's fine. It's a little bit more expensive here than it was when I was in Missouri, but I knew I needed to call and get that taken care of, and I was waiting to get paid. I was waiting for my next check. We had a really bad storm here, and it started to hail. And I looked out the window and I saw the big pieces of hail on the ground. And I got on my knees and I said, Lord, I need your help. I cannot afford to pay to have my windshield replaced or my car fixed. And right now I don't have insurance. So I'm asking for your help, please. And literally within the next 20 seconds, the storm passed through and it stopped hailing. Now, that I didn't do anything. All I did was ask. Okay? That's the key. It's not the person praying that's important. It's who we are praying to that's important. We need to put our complete trust and confidence in God to that. That God's going to take care of us and God's going to meet our needs. And if God doesn't do it in the way we think that it should happen, we should still trust in God anyway. So, anyway, I hope this works out because I don't want to have to redo the video. But I promise, guys, I'm going to keep trying to do things to improve the channel, to improve the videos. Praise God, the home internet is working. That was a long story, and I don't really want to talk about it right now because I'm very tired. But I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. I love each and every one of you, especially those of you who are my subscribers. I ask that you share the channel with others and help this channel to grow. Because ultimately, now that I have... I forgot to mention that. I guess I should. I signed the paperwork today. And I am renting to own this RV. And come April 2025, this fifth wheel will belong to me. So then I just need to pray and ask God to help me get a truck big enough to where we can pull it. But God willing, you know, one day we'll be on the road and traveling and being able to encourage Christians all over the country. But ideally, I would say that the income from the YouTube channel would help pay for the gas. So I need the channel to grow, obviously. Plus, I just want to be able to encourage more and more people. I mean, that's what this is about. It is about learning stuff from the Bible that will help encourage us and help us to grow in our faith. And look, if the disciples that were with Jesus Christ, if they had ups and downs and they still made mistakes, that gives me hope, because my main source of knowledge about Jesus is from the Bible, and I make mistakes from time to time as well. So, it's okay. Just learn from your mistakes and keep growing. And trust that Philippians 1:6 is true. And it says, he who began a good work in you will complete it. So, like I said, I love you guys, and I hope you have a great evening. Bye. Hi, it's James. Welcome back to the channel. Back in my normal